DUI and DWI laws, penalties, and consequences, impaired driving, Part 2. Restrictions on driving permits. Your driver's license will almost certainly be suspended or, in the case of recurrent infractions, permanently terminated when you are found guilty of drunk driving. However, there are rare situations in which an offender can be permitted to keep their driving privileges as long as they follow specific guidelines. Interlock ignition device. If their vehicle is equipped with an ignition interlock device, a driver whose license has been suspended due to a DWI conviction may be able to apply for a restricted license, IID. To regulate when the car will start, this device is fitted in the ignition system. The driver must blow into the EID to provide a blood alcohol content reading before starting the engine. The car won't start if the driver's BAC is above a predetermined threshold. This is typically lower than the standard 0.08% limit. Remember that ignition interlock systems are pricey, and that often the driver is responsible for paying for their installation. If a driver can demonstrate that they have an important need to drive, they may be granted an occupational or essential needs license after having their license suspended for DUI. This could involve getting to work or school, when no other means of transportation are available, or taking a member of the family to important appointments. Only the uses specified on the license are allowed for drivers with licenses for critical needs. Their license will be suspended if they are observed operating a vehicle for any other reason. Drivers with very serious or repeated DWI offenses typically are not eligible for occupational or essential needs licenses. The problem of drunk driving. Currently, driving while under the influence of alcohol or drugs results in the deaths of about 10,000 individuals every year in the United States. Even though drunk driving is a major problem in our country, looking back over the years shows how far we have come in combating the problem. Even though they are painful, wasteful, and avoidable, 10,000 deaths pale in comparison to earlier national death tolls. Before the national minimum drinking age was established and the present BAC level was set, the prevalence of drunk driving increased to the point where 6 out of every 10 traffic fatalities were caused by inebriated drivers. We did not always have the protection of the alcohol laws that we take for granted today. In fact, the necessary legal changes to safeguard U.S. road users from the effects of alcohol intoxication needed the better part of a century, multiple campaigns, and hundreds of thousands of needless deaths. The issue is still far from being solved. After this introduction, we examine the overall picture of the epidemic of drunk driving. Learn about the history of drunk driving and how alcohol and drug impairment enhance the risk on the road. Driving while intoxicated costs. We then examine the human cost and economic effects of drunk driving. Who are the 10,000 unintentionally killed innocent victims of drunk driving? Alcohol impairment makes operating a vehicle dangerous, and it is equivalent to writing your own death sentence. The drunk drivers who cause the accidents account for a large portion of the fatalities. Tragically, they frequently carry utterly uninvolved and normal road users with them. Children, the elderly, pedestrians, cyclists, and motorcyclists are commonly the victims of drunk driving accidents, as are other vulnerable road users. Dozens more lives are permanently destroyed for every individual killed in a drunk driving accident. Driving under the influence puts someone else's mother, father, siblings, best friend, wife, husband, or child at danger. In some accidents involving intoxicated drivers, entire families perish. Despite the fact that we hear about these tragedies on the news almost every day, millions of people continue to drive while impaired by alcohol. No driver thinks it will happen to them, but if they drive while inebriated, it may and will. Every pillar of our society is weakened and infected by the epidemic of drunk driving. Imagine how many more individuals are hurt, traumatized, or financially ruinous as a result of collisions involving alcohol if 10,000 or more people per year are murdered. The problem size is virtually incomprehensible. The United States loses billions of dollars annually due to drunk driving, and that's before we even consider the effects on happiness and well-being. Knowledge of DUI and DWI legislation. Your driver's education course must include information on DUI laws and punishments. This video section covers everything you need to know about the legal repercussions of driving while intoxicated, allowing you to make an informed decision should you decide to drink and drive. We begin by dissecting the language used to refer to drunk driving offenses. Is there a distinction between DUI and DWI? Depending on the state where the crime was done, driving under the influence and driving while inebriated might relate to various offenses. In our complete lesson on this subject, we give some examples of how the two names differ in various states. In some states, the terms DUI and DWI are used to refer to the same criminal offense. More details on DUI and DWI offenses, and related penalties, in your state can be found in your driver's manual and on the DMV website.